I'll do bananas. but yeah, there are a lot of things pointing to these changes happening soon. And climate-wise, these shifts have always happened inside of a human generation, less than 25 years, and sometimes as quick as 12 years. And in 1997, 1998, the shape of the Earth began to change. We had been going through the post-glacial rebound for the previous 10,000 years, where as the poles melted off their ice, the Earth began to spring and become more circular rather than squat at the equator. Mm-hmm. But 8 to 9 winters ago, that process abruptly reversed, and we began to have compression at the poles, even with the water melting off of them. And what was determined was one of two things: that there were a volume of magma accumulating around the equator, or a volume of water that was not returning northbound within the ocean circulation. And it kind of determined that it has to deal with the ocean circulation. And this volume of water is 3 miles by 3 miles by 5 miles. So there's a lot of water that for the past consecutive 9 years has not been flowing northward in the Atlantic. And then a Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute, in combination with another United Kingdom Oceanographic Institute, had laid buoys out across the Atlantic. Mm-hmm. And they determined that this North Atlantic current was still healthy along the western Atlantic, the Gulf Stream along the U.S. East Coast. Mm-hmm. But the return flow of this Gulf Stream along the coast of Portugal, and also a little far out in the Atlantic, two of these streams had been reduced in volume, one by 30% and one by 50%. Then when they measured the return flow of the cold water descending from the North Atlantic along the bottom of the Atlantic, that there were several cases where these rivers of cold water had simply ceased, and some of them had even begun to back up. And that was because the water was not reaching critical densities, or it wasn't getting cold enough during the winter, Greenland, Iceland, Scandinavia, to then sink to the bottom of the Atlantic. Mm-hmm. And that's a function of our warmer winters up north and fresh water pouring off the ice.
Right.
So it's this freshening that in the past has caused our abrupt global climate change.
That's the plot of The Day After. Mm-hmm. Isn't that the
Day After Tomorrow? Yeah.
With Dennis Quaid?
Yep. And we may not end up in a Day After Tomorrow scenario, but there's no reason to say that it couldn't be year after next.
Well, that's a good place to break for today, and a very compelling tease ahead as we talk about what our government might or might not be doing to influence that change in the years ahead.
Yeah, in the meanwhile, as you wait for tomorrow's episode, assuming we make it to tomorrow, go to weatherwars.info, and you can check out Scott's own bio, and you can also look at the articles that he's been referring to, and you'll be ready for tomorrow.